Welcome to the live show with Musart. Today I am joined by Mr. Bhavin Patel, who is a polarity coach, and he's here to share his journey. And that's a new name actually, polarity, that I've never heard of. I've heard of lots of spiritual coaches, I've heard of confidence coaches, but this is a polarity coach. Hey, how are you?
Hi, Musart. Thank you so much.
No problem.
I'm great.
We've had lots of fun actually chatting about his lovely journey in the morning and how to get here.
Yeah. Quick share. Quick share, right? So 10:30 was the original time. I realised that I had lost my bank card. I went to top up my Oyster. Yeah. As well.
It'd be good to know if you panicked and ripped any shirts on the way. So yeah.
This is really important because, so you mentioned polarity,
yes.
and I know you asked me a lot of questions, but I had to practice what I preach on a day-to-day basis at that particular moment. Yeah. Because I was really excited about today, and there was almost a dopamine. I'm not going to go to a science, not going to be a science lecture, but a dopamine release. Yeah. And I was feeling great, and then suddenly, smack, out of the blue, something happens, and these things happen. Yeah, they happen to everyone, and
it's about maintaining panicking and is how you deal with it. So how did you deal with it? Let's see. Just relax, trace your steps.
At the beginning, so I have this process, so I know what I call the monkey mind, and a lot of coaches will resonate with that, or the lower animal or inner animal started kick in and say, we'll have to reschedule and all this kind of stuff. Or what if I don't get an opportunity again? The heart rate went up a bit.
Panic attack.
Yeah, so what I started to do, actually, and I do this, I center myself, and I really just ask a question. I take a deep breath and exhale really slowly and just center myself. And I actually think of a positive memory. And that memory is my marriage. Like the moment when I was at the altar with my wife, and that seems to lower my heart rate. So if you were to hook me up and I think of that, you could probably see my heart rate going down. So I had that anchor, and then I asked myself a question: how can I use this to my advantage? Yeah. What do I need to do next? And that sort of gets me into a process of where. And I just answered, what do I need to do next? So I messaged you. Yeah. I was fine. Yeah, messaged, I'm going to be late. Went to the bank. I went home. Then went to the bank.
Did you check at home?
Yeah, it wasn't there.
Okay.
I could have spent a bit more time. But you know what?
Yeah, but ideally, it would be better if you had organised everything the night before.
Do you know what? I'll tell you what happened. Like, as you mentioned, I got I hate excuses, right? It's just not an excuse. I don't think it's an excuse. Yeah. Got home late from the pharmacy. Really busy. So I work as a pharmacist part-time at the moment. Yeah. And got home. It was we were short on staff. It was
busy day.
Really busy day. Got home, nodded off, and literally just I journal as well. So I really journaled quickly, and usually I do, but I just went to bed.
Okay, that's interesting. As a journal, you journal your day.
Yeah, so at night time, I journal essentially what went well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm used to that.
Went well.
So you don't normally journal, this is what I did today, this is the person who came in and ticked me off, or just saying, this patient was so annoying. And obviously, you're just writing down the positive things, so that's part of coaching anyway.
What went well, and what I could have done better. Yeah. So you have there are patients coming in, and we live in a society where we expect things like that. Yeah. And although I can process a prescription pretty quickly, you have people that I don't meet their expectations. Yeah. And so that's something that I put down on paper at night time, because I used to be in a position where I feel a lot of frustration and think, it's coming. You just wait a few. Now it's just like, I'm going to do it in my own time, and safety is more important for you to take the right medication than me just doing it and giving it quickly. Yeah. So
also you're come back to being a polarity coach.
Yes.
When we had discussion, we first met. It was quite interesting to know that you've been through a lot of depression yourself in the past.
Yeah.
You know, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so where are we now? August or September
Yes.
2017.
Yeah.
A year ago. August 2016. That's the time essentially where I think to reframe it, I went into a burnout phase. And at that point I was doing a job, and a lot of people might relate to this. I thought I loved it. So I was doing literally 16, 18-hour days. And the days, and something started to happen. It was very interesting to the
18 hours, wow.
Yeah, literally 18-hour days, like six hours of rest, and not deep sleep either. And
Just panicking to wake up the next day.
yeah, and I was always wired, stressed. So it's interesting because up to that point, when I started to spiral from a state of anxiety, of high energy, then a state of sadness, where I felt out of control. Just before, so the result, one of the contributing factors to that was my mum, who was, I don't like to classify, and I have this belief about not labeling either. But for the purposes of understanding, severely depressed. She was in that sort of category, almost suicidal.
Wow.
Like I would literally come home and I was spending more time at work, unconsciously. Because when my wife told me what was happening, now I didn't know this was happening, like there was stuff going at home between my mum and my dad that I didn't know about. And
how would you know? You're at work all day for 18 hours, so you can't
yeah,
really see what's going on.
And being an only son, I was protected. Like my mum also used to tell my wife Priscilla, don't tell him, don't say nothing. And she
didn't want to
I understand why. More. Yeah, I understand.
She didn't want to stress you out more because you know you're at work
exactly.
All day. Yeah.
She
you don't want to mess up somebody's
protected me.
So
exactly.
Like keep the wrong drugs. So
yes.
I'm so stressed out. Yeah.
Let's preach safety.
Yeah, exactly.
So I understand. You know, she didn't want to, and then things started to escalate, right, to the point where I would come home. And then she would be on the phone, say I'll come home, we'll watch a show together, or we'll be on the sofa sitting down. And then suddenly I speak to mum like every day. And then she would leave the room, go upstairs, and then I thought, something's not right.
Yeah.
Something's going on. So I crept upstairs. So just imagine, right? Just imagine yourself, you know, you're leaving the living room, you're creeping upstairs, and then you take a peek, and then you're sort of thinking, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then I'll go upstairs, and literally I just say, what's happening? And then my wife, I say, you got to tell me, right? Because you can see it, like, you know, I can just see it on her face. And then she tells me, this is what's been happening. I find out, like, that it has been happening for a few, like, months. Just that itself, when I found out that, because it was related to my mum, I'm very close. And, you know, most of us are close to her, you know. I'm extremely close to my mum. To the point where like I couldn't quite accept it. I didn't accept it, and I went into. I was like, no, that's not happening to me. No, not to me. That's not happening. And how can that happen to such an angelic person?
That she's going through this.
Yeah, how can it happen to someone that
It's
literally?
so perfect. But obviously, we see her parents as perfect. So.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not gonna be. Bias. Like my mum is one of those. She'll leave the house and she would minimize herself. When I mean minimize, almost sacrifice herself for greater good, for people to have what they want and what they desire. So I saw that since I was growing up, and I started to model that. I started to model that, and I had a problem saying no. I could not say no. So then, 16, 18-hour days, my boss would start to say, can you do this? Can you stay behind? Couldn't. Like inside, I wanted to say no. I couldn't say it. I thought this is something that's not right. I mean, I did that for 3 years, and it was. This is what I want people to really understand, right? I thought I understood loved the job.
Yeah.
The job was actually about supporting people with mental health problems.
Okay.
Right? So there's the irony. So I was creating...
How are you helping people with mental health problems if you were just giving pills over the counter?
Yes. So I am really, really happy that you brought this up.
Yeah.
I am not your typical pharmacist.
Okay.
Right? Through my own personal experiences and through... See, I was creating a project where the healthcare system would incentivize deprescribing. So what I'm talking about with deprescribing is actually reducing dependency on medication and stopping medication. And I started to do a lot of research into pharmaceutical industry. I started to do a lot of research into how the healthcare system is sort of structured. Pathways and processes, and I started to understand that the labels that were being created, and if you do your research, there's around 350 labels around just, if you put mental health, right?
Yeah.
If I just wrote mental health, I could write 350 different labels.
Of different types?
Yeah. Anxiety, right? Depression. What was my favorite one, right? Something dysmoric disorder, PDD, personality
Bipolar,
disorder, all of those, right?
Schizophrenia.
So I started to get really interested about how pharmaceutical industry operates. Now, I want to be really clear before this, because I'm not going to be bashing the pharmaceutical industry, and I see there is a place for medication. I have to, because I'm a pharmacist, right? But
it's short term at the end of the day. It's not a long term solution.
Yeah, and I started to understand that the pharmaceutical industry, how psychiatry was created, and I realized that psychiatry was created that the chemical imbalance for anxiety, people with anxiety and depression. People say, I've got that chemical imbalance. Right? And I started to question, are there any blood tests? Are there any investigations? Do we measure the level of serotonin and all those neurotransmitters in the brain? No, we don't. Are human beings complex? Yes. Are we literally going to put people in categories? What's the benefit of pharmaceutical industry? And I'm going to be, I wear my heart on my sleeve, so I'm just going to, speak very honestly. Media, government, all together, intertwining, and creating these labels. What's the benefit of creating these labels? And I'll give you an example.
So you did some investigation?
Yes.
Okay.
I got my my stethoscope, but I got my lab coat out, magnifying glass, research papers. Just imagine me at the desk, dark, just a light. Okay. Started to do a lot of research, right? And I started to understand that a lot of the work the pharmaceutical industry does is they're always scraping the healthiest of people. So the people that undergo clinical trials, they're always looking for healthy people who can be tested, right? Because at the end of the day, you're not going to have a medication if you do not have a label. So I'll give you an example. There was, I think, the patent for, I believe it was paroxetine. Okay. It's a medication. Now it comes as a certain colour. Medication have lovely colours, I must say that. Right. I'm always going like this. Oh yeah, amazing. Don't want to take it, but yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it looks like a Skittle.
Yeah, you always. So I thought, right, PDD, the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
I think it's premenstrual dysmoric disorder, I believe, right? What had happened is that the pharmaceutical industry had changed the colour of the pill, changed the packaging, same medical ingredient, reclassified it as PDD. So you got one for depression and anxiety, social phobia, and all the kinds of
So
things.
you're trying to say one pill is used for many different ones?
Yeah.
So these are the same medication?
Yeah. And but then the biggest reason is why. Because of, if you think about the billions that are made.
So that's quite interesting. That's
health
like,
is a business.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
We know that. But what I'm trying to say is, so that means if you've worked out that one pill is used for the 350 different disorders, should we say, or problems, so that means, sorry, we're going a bit off topic because Bhavin's just gone into his medical science.
Yes.
No, but
Yes,
so that means the solution to our problems is obviously up here. It's in your brain. You can find that solution. So if one pill can solve all these X, Y, Z problems, then obviously if we change ourselves, we can, which is what you discovered because you were going through depression yourself.
Yeah.
At that point when you said your mum was going through all that, and as you mentioned, you saying she was having a marital problem with your father.
Yes.
Well, she assumed she was having a marital problem.
So this was interesting, right? Because most people probably say to me, Bhavin, why did you not take her to a psychiatric institution?
Yeah.
Why did you not?
So what was what was it that you noticed? Which behaviours that you started to notice? Well, obviously, you're used to seeing all these patients coming in and asking for these pills, and like you said, you're a different pharmacist.
Yeah.
Were you taking these people in a room, asking them, "What's your problem? You don't need a pill. Go away." So basically, sign up for my coaching. You do not need a pill. No, what I'm just saying. So obviously, obviously as because you've done medical science and you can see what the side effects are going to be. So when you saw your mother like that, you think, okay, she's just going through depression. I could just give her a pack of antidepressants and she'll be fine. Or like you said, your friends were saying, why have you not taken her to a psychiatrist? What was it then? Was you not like thinking this is too much for me to handle, or because obviously she's your role model, and if your role model is breaking down, what are you supposed to do? Yeah,
and people say, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
And because I'll tell you what, the work that I was doing, 3 years, so I was training pharmacists to become health coaches.
Yeah. I see.
Right. So so when a pharmacist or a general practitioner has a consultation, and people will know this, it's 5 to 10 minutes. We don't have the opportunity to ask questions and really understand what is the root cause of everything and the underlying problem. And
that's with everything.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not any group of people, it's no one's fault. But it's a structural problem within the system, in that healthcare professionals are incentivized to give out medication, because at the end of the day, the number of items, pharmacists as businesses get paid on number of items of prescriptions. General practitioners, for giving out a medication, is incentivized, right? I'm just speaking very honestly. So my thing is, how can we make a healthcare system more human? So I have a strong belief that the project that I was doing, I was training pharmacists to become coaches, and also lobbying NHS England at the same time. Local CCGs commissioning people that buy goods and services and health services locally. So I started to, with that belief, I started to think rationally. I know it was almost, how can you think rationally when your mum is thinking like that? So I took her to the doctor, and they said, here's some antidepressants, here's some citalopram and all this kind of stuff. And I couldn't quite, I knew that was coming, right? When I went, same thing. I was citalopram, which is one of the most commonly prescribed antidepressants.
Yeah, but you still haven't mentioned what got you to that yet.
Oh yes, so going off topic on it.
Yeah.
So
I think we should have him on another day just to talk about pharmacy, because obviously you are still quite passionate about pharmacy.
Yeah, no, it's the combination of using a lot of the tools and techniques that I taught them, pharmacists.
Because I remember you saying you had a nervous breakdown at work, and then you went to see your doctor.
Yes.
And obviously the cause of the nervous breakdown was obviously your mum thinking your dad's seeing someone else or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. So what can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Okay. So at that time, my mum is a very, what's the word? as a character, she's very fragile. She's very vulnerable, and she's not the most confident kind of person. She doesn't know who she is, right? And particularly from the culture that she probably, her background and what she saw, and women's place in sort of the family and the culture. That culminated in this one moment where my dad, who had a business, he then, the lease actually, so he used to have a convenience store. The lease ran out, so he could have continued, but yeah, then he had to work. So my mum said, all right, I'll take you to Sainsbury's. Let's work together. So now this was a massive change, and I knew that this was going to be difficult for them to manage and cope. And then my mum saw, so imagine she's on the counter, my dad's in the aisle, the aisle was in the supermarket. She sees my dad like...
So they buy Sainsbury's as a franchise or something, or was it, or no? Or
oh, no. As in, my mum works on the till.
Okay.
My dad works in...
You said they had a convenience store then?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so I thought they went and franchised something else.
No.
Okay.
Then my dad, he just works in internet shopping.
Okay.
So he was with, a colleague, like a staff member, and, just laughing. So like you and me, say we hysterically start laughing, and then my mum saw that.
Yeah.
Right? That's it.
Oh.
They literally just
that
saw that.
Her.
That led to, like, why thoughts, I know, in terms of she thinking, why is he doing that with her and not me?
Jealousy. Envy, yeah.
It's almost a betrayal.
Yeah.
It's like a loss. Like, why, like, the way... Now, my dad I describe as someone, if you have this bottle or this glass, and you have emotions building up,
and he would just let
right?
Go, yeah.
And even if there's more, you pile on the emotions, like, he will not be able to manage, and it will explode. And then this glass will explode.
Okay.
So he wasn't very good at managing emotions, but he'd done everything for us, right? So she saw that led to those thoughts and betrayal. So I found out about that. And I was at that point I was sort of looking at coaching and doing some health coaching training for pharmacists to try and implement in their own pharmacy. And then when my mum and dad, it started to escalate a bit, I went back to my boss. I found that he was a coach.
Okay.
So he was actually, on a day-to-day basis, he was actually doing some coaching with me, right? So I understand, and then he goes, look, I want to help you. Here's something. Here's maybe some tools, some strategies you want to look into. Maybe you want to get trained up, yourself as a specific type of coaching. And so I thought, right, at the moment, literally anything will help. So I'd go home and from work and literally help
because you didn't know
go
how to
through
deal
that.
With the situation because it's your parents, so you were just letting it bottle inside you as well.
Yeah, it was just
and plus you were
escalated.
overtired because you're working so hard as well.
I had this belief that I didn't know. I learned it, and I had this, which comes back to polarity. Two sides, right? I had this almost addiction to one side of the world. And what I mean by this one side, and I see a lot of people in society that I had this thing where I love it when good things happen, right? Great things happen. It makes me happy. I feel great and warm. But I would always say, this should happen. Why is that like this? And that...
Complaining, finding faults.
Yeah, that started to eat away at me.
Okay.
You can't have kindness without cruelty.
Yeah.
You can't have war without peace.
Yeah.
You can't have creation without destruction. Like that door, right, it's open right now.
Yeah.
In order for it to be open, it has to be closed.
Yeah.
So that is what polarity is.
Yeah.
And I started to, but as I said, I was addicted to one side. and I developed unrealistic expectations of myself.
Was it because you say you was in this bubble that was always perfect, things were always happening, and
Yeah.
the way you want things to happen, they were going, and then as soon as the opposite would happen, you wouldn't know how to handle it. You would just, you just get really, really frustrated.
Angry. And I used to go into this pattern called a crazy 8.
Okay.
Right, so you go from anxiety to the typical one, sadness to anxiety. So like for people watching right now, if you're thinking of a moment and where you're out of control, something happens and you don't know, there's a sudden change in your life condition, something out of your control happens, you don't know what to do.
Yeah, I think it's about losing the control.
Yeah, people just,
Freak out.
Yeah.
Basically.
And then I was spiraling between those two states.
Oh, okay.
And then I started to look at that only happens when you have certain beliefs and certain rules, the way you live life, right? I had an unrealistic expectation of myself. I was achieving. I did, I'm not, it's not bragging, but I did, I achieved some amazing things in 3 years for my profession that most people probably do for 10, 15 years.
Oh, wow, okay.
But still, like that achievement was not giving me nothing.
Yeah, but the things are completely different. Emotions and achievements are completely separate things. So
it was just
having
that
control of your emotions.
keep going. It's going to lead to something.
Yeah.
It led to Crazy 8.
Okay.
Where I had to change my beliefs and my rules, the way I live life. And that's why I asked that question, going back to the beginning. How can I use this adversity to my advantage?
Yeah, okay. So obviously your mum was depressed.
Yeah.
Going through this phase of, and then I remember you saying your wife caught her following your father.
Oh yes. Oh yes. This is quite an anecdote. So it's
easier to spy than to just talk about it. Just think and assume things. It was all led to suspicion, isn't it? And she was obviously very suspicious. And
she was taking time. You know what, Musart? She was taking time off work.
Wow!
Like,
just to follow him.
In like the way I was brought up. Like this is one of my other downfalls as well. A belief. You do not take a day off work. You do. Like my dad worked for 30. He still works. He gets up at 3 a.m.
Wow.
Like you do.
Is he a baker or?
Sorry?
Does he bake? Because he wakes up at 3 a.m.
No, he does a night shift.
Okay.
At Sainsbury's, so he has to wake up. But like, you do not take a day off work. It was drummed into me. You got to work.
So you never had weekends off either?
Not really. I was always, my brain's always on. I'm always thinking about the next thing. Like about work. Was that done? What's next? Monday? What am I going to do? Right? But I wasn't doing it for me. That's the key thing. I was doing it for someone else. I was doing it for something that I thought I could achieve, and it would lead to these things. But
anyway, so you said your mum was taking days off.
She would go to the car park.
Okay.
Order book a taxi.
Right.
Just imagine this is pitch black. It's winter.
Okay.
Right. It's winter. She gets in a taxi, goes to Sainsbury's car park. She would follow him because she thought he was
seeing that woman.
Yeah.
Did your dad ever catch her?
No.
No? Okay. So is your wife who mentioned this to you, isn't
it?
Okay, so did you not go and sit with your mum and say, Mum, why are you doing this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So I started to do a lot of research about this, and again, but I sat down, and it's quite difficult to... I knew why it was, because I had seen it develop a bit, and she was just basically saying, well, he's doing this. Like, literally, he's doing that with her. Like, I don't really care. I'm worthless. I don't really care, Like, she was saying I'm Gujarati, so I speak Gujarati, so she was saying in her own language, like, I'm ready to die, basically. Like, all that kind of stuff. And at that moment, you're sort of thinking,
how do I handle this?
Yeah. So this was happening at the same time. Also, my wife's sister came because I was accommodating her for internship. So now we've got, they were staying with us. I have got 6 people in the house. at the same time. I was coming home, but the
You're not
way
getting
I
your own time, yeah.
way I helped my mum get over that, right, is that obviously I had to take some time off work.
And you weren't happy about that?
No. I wasn't happy about
Yeah,
it.
that's what I meant.
No, no, it's as in I wasn't happy. It's interesting because I wasn't happy. I was
Because
inside.
for you that's added stress because your routine is broken,
Yeah,
basically. So you're
because
like, okay, now I'm taking these few days off and I can't, I think that's the thing, when you have been brought up with this on the working thing, you just think, okay, I'll wake up, this is my purpose. Wake up, do this, do that, and go back to sleep, and that's all. And I think when something changes that, and like you said, you're going through the crazy 8, your emotions are riled up and you're like, okay, basically you're pushed out of your comfort zone, like, okay, now I have to deal with this. I've never dealt with it.
Yeah.
You're scared, you're frightened, you'd rather, you just want to jump back into your whole of routine and say, I want this to be over as soon as.
Yeah, exactly.
But these things need to happen. Otherwise, how do you develop?
That's absolutely right. And that's why, going back to, we mentioned, talking about labels and concepts and like, I made this, I don't know if I should say this.
Say it.
I said, I made this post on Facebook.
Okay.
That there's no such thing as mental illness.
Oh dear. Okay.
There are only emotional messages.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't quite clear. Now, I knew that it would upset some people. Some people got it, some people didn't get it. And being very clear is very hard to, such a complex subject to say that. But what I was talking about was, we went back to how the healthcare system has been designed and creating concepts and labeling people like that.
Yeah.
And you can't have, you cannot have medication without mental illness. And if you reframe it from mental illness to emotional messages or emotional turmoil, because my thing is that then you won't have the stigma of people going around saying, he's mental, she's mental.
Yeah.
Everything is
created.
created.
A label. Yeah, it creates
right?
a label.
And I've got a big problem with that. Because as I said, I'm about polarity. It's ups and it's downs.
Yeah. But like you said, when you took time off with your mum and then obviously she was released of that burden when you went and spoke to her, but then obviously you went through depression yourself.
Yeah. So. And
then you weren't obviously aware of the whole self-development side of things. I think you went to your doctor to take some time off and he gave you some pills, didn't he?
So the moment my mum and dad's house got refurbished, it was ready to go, moving back in, I had 2 weeks of annual leave.
Okay.
Right? The good old annual leave.
Okay.
So I had 2 weeks annual leave. So I thought, right, I actually spent some good time with my wife. So I thought, I'm ready to go back to work.
Yeah.
The weather in London at that time was amazing. I remember it was beautiful. It was like 30 degrees, sunshine. 2 weeks are gone. Planning to go back to work the next morning, jump out of work.
Yeah.
So this is what happened. That did not happen.
Oh, why?
No. I literally, the alarm went off. I still remember the alarm went off, and it felt like I had the whole of human history. Like I was carrying the weight of human history.
Okay.
Like if you talk about human history and the things that have happened.
What happened those 2 weeks that led to that though?
It wasn't anything in 2 weeks. The 2 weeks were actually enjoyable.
Okay. But then so depression just hit you on the last day?
It was underlying. I was not really. I wasn't addressing. See, and it goes back to that thing where I was going from crazy 8, but I didn't address it.
Okay.
It was like the example about this, right? If I put my hand on this and you build it up, it's going to explode.
Yeah.
And that started to happen over months and months, and I thought
You're just not recognizing it.
Yeah, I was just suppressing it, right? So one of the most common ways to deal with emotions is just, I'm gonna, as a man particularly, grunt it through.
Oh yeah, men don't talk.
Yeah. And you know what?
I wake up.
Literally and it was that weight I was carrying, knotted stomach. Like it's literally like someone was on top of me, just holding me down. That's literally what I felt like. I couldn't get up.
Okay.
I just, something was within me was telling me something. Bam, you got to stop, right? Because this is dangerous. And what led to the suppression was that you got to look after your mum. Number one, remember, minimize yourself.
Yeah.
That was the belief I had for sacrifice for others.
Yeah.
And when you get into that minimization state, self-minimization, it's dangerous. It's not going to last. I guarantee you think it's altruistic.
Yeah.
You think it's helpful. I couldn't get up. I mustered. My wife was there. So she didn't say anything. It's really beautiful. Like the way she supported me was amazing. Like, I mustered up, literally just like not rolled out, but literally rolled out. And I did. I saw myself. I texted my mum, I'm not coming. I'm not coming in. It's not happening. Coming into work.
You say why? You say I'm not feeling well though.
I made some excuse up.
Okay.
As in, I think the excuse was, just not up to it. Not up to, or I had a cold or flu or something like that. But I was, at that point, I was willing to make any excuse up. Because you know what, I made it, I don't know what it was, but something that was a good decision where I'm going to be number one now. Right? So I rolled out, I went downstairs, I had my first sort of panic or anxiety attack. When I didn't have a clue what was happening. Where everything starts closing on you. Your heart starts it's literally jumping out of your shirt. Starts sweating.
You had a panic attack, literally.
Yeah, and I didn't know what to do. So obviously the breathing stuff. I heard about people breathe. I usually just sat down and closed my eyes. Literally, it stopped. But I didn't know. It lasted about 10 minutes.
Wow.
I didn't know what the hell was happening. I said, this is not something's going on.
Yeah, I'm not
right?
well.
Because I thought myself to be emotionally unshakable, resilient, like nothing can touch me.
Yeah.
In some ways, now I have that.
Yeah.
But it's different.
I think we all go through those. It's just a matter of finding your grounding feet at the time.
Exactly.
So it's like we're all gonna, no matter how wired you are emotionally, everybody's gonna go through that. It's just a matter of not staying there and talking you through. Obviously taking your own advice and just going through that, and it would last a lot longer.
Yeah.
But it just means that it's rather than labeling it, you just see it as normal. This happens.
That's it.
Which is the problem. So the thing is, people go and label it, and exactly. People think, oh my God, there's something wrong with me, and you got to see the anxiety pills or whatever it is, or to lift their mood and stuff like that. At the end of the day, they don't realize it's okay to feel like this.
Yeah.
It's normal. You're not Superman.
Exactly.
Even Superman probably goes through emotional
stress.
stress.
I don't know. I mean, I'm more of a Batman fan, but
So then you went to the doctor, didn't you? You said to get antidepressants or something.
Yeah, I said no. So I literally left, got there, and I saw him. He said, yeah, you can do this, or go to talking therapies, something in the UK where you can just talk and counsel and all that. I'm not one for I'm not one for talking about. And at that time, I wasn't one for talking about feelings and things like that. So I didn't get that, and I thought I don't want to keep talking about my story. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, but it's not going to really as you said, address the root cause.
It's not really moving forward, is it? You're just repeating what you already know. This is why having a coach is very important, because they'll actually work with you to find a solution, which is to let go. Because if you're going to repeat the story to yourself again and again, you're just holding on to your story. Yeah. You're not letting it pass you.
The most powerful thing is, we talk about solutions. The solutions are already there.
Yeah.
That is the thing. That's the difference between therapy and coaching. Or people ask between counselling and coaching. Yeah. You've got the solutions. You get someone to hold their hand step by step to get to where you want to be.
Exactly.
So the doctor wanted to give me a prescription for citalopram.
Okay.
no.
Way.
I said, I understand and appreciate why you want to do that, but that's not quite working for me. Those were my words. I said, that's not quite working for me. And I was going to give him a lecture. Like, how can you do that, right? How can you, within 10 minutes?
Yeah.
But then, like, as I said, it's a system structural problem. So I left. I was going back to work. I was looking after my mum, and I was going to work. My boss was giving me tools and strategies, and that's when I heard the coaching and the personal development. And that's when I made a decision.
Do you know, actually before you...
Yeah.
Sorry, you made a decision then? Sorry, I've got a very, very good question.
No, please keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I love good questions. Just before that, so I came back home, and I made the decision that it might not be for everyone, but I made it. I wrote a resignation letter, heartfelt, and I sent it to my employer.
And you left it
2 pages A4.
Wow.
It was the most heartfelt, and how therapeutic it was. It was incredible. Like, literally the power of writing on your subconscious, your mind. As a coach now, I know, on the subconscious.
Because you're letting go. You're putting it out. You're just releasing it.
Just on paper. It was just me and just, everything. I really wrote what happened, what led to that, why I was.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And I sent it. I felt a release, man. Relief. It was almost like, again, going back to polarity.
Yeah.
I went through grief, if we want to label it, and grief
Stress.
and relief.
Yeah.
And if people are watching this and you're going through grief right now or loss, you cannot go through, no matter how hard it is to believe what I'm about to say, please believe it, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't have grief without relief.
That's true. And my next question was, what would you say to those people who say, what's wrong with the pills anyway? Because it's
I love the question.
What's wrong with pills anyway? It's a shortcut solution. I don't have to put so much effort in. I can just pop a pill in and feel happy as Larry. What would you say to those people and say, it's still, it's making me feel good.
Yeah.
There's something, it's going to rewire my brains. I can just move on. What would you say to those people?
I would say, this is the main thing I would say, right? There's the medication that's created, and as a society, we're all walking around, right? Blindfolded, doing our own thing, and that's absolutely fine. Now, publicly, the data from pharmaceutical industry and the medication that is created, right, is not publicly available. That data is not publicly available for that medication. Right. The number of people that were tested, right? The number of people that committed suicide whilst being tested on that medication
have not been released.
No. And who they are, what's happening to the families.
So you're saying it will kill you indirectly?
If I went in, I'm not going to go into neuroscience or anything like that, but what it does is that everything starts to affect the physical structure of our brain. Like, if I took my brain out right now, which I would be dead, but like, you could see.
We don't want a zombie Bhavin on the show. Well, that would be interesting. Though.
Yeah, and say it was 2 of my brains, right? One on citalopram and antidepressants for 30 years, one on healthy Bhavin, right?
Yeah, healthy Bhavin.
Or yes, I should say healthy Bhavin. The size of the certain structures of my brain, like the amygdala, the hippocampus, and all that, I'm not going to go into the structure of the brain, but are either bigger or smaller. The environment, every experience is going to mold the actual physical structure of your brain, right? So
That's with drugs as well, isn't it? Though.
Yeah. So people thinking, So what's the problem with that? You get the short-term hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. You get the short-term hit.
But in the long term.
Long-term sustainability.
It's going to be lost.
Physically, mentally, emotionally,
spiritually.
spiritually.
Makes you weaker, in a sense.
I want to ask this question. and I'm going to answer the question. I'm going to answer that question.
Yeah.
Does the medication, are people that are suffering long term or actually in hospital actually dying or suffering from the long term effects of the medication or the condition? And when I mean condition, I mean either physical health, diabetes, blood pressure, whatever it is. And I'm just to be clear, remember, there is a place for medication. I'm not saying that in those, and also mental health conditions. Are people suffering from the long-term effect? I'll give you an example. I've got to see this. I've got to say this, right? And I'll answer the question. More people, 1 in 6 hospital admissions are because of medication. 1 in 6.
Wow. Or the side effects of the...
Yeah. And then you're going to have to take another one to treat the side effects of that medication.
Then there'll be side
I
effects.
had someone yesterday on antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, sleeping tablets, tramadol, which is a painkiller. I swear there was a horse tranquilizer in it as well. No, there wasn't, but codeine.
Wow.
And I do not know literally how
That
people
person
come
is
to me.
coping,
Yeah,
to be
she's
honest.
going to therapy, and I have people coming to me that have been to therapy for 10 years.
And nothing's happened.
No. And once I do this exercise based around my polarity, right? Where would
You've
you
got a
not,
great place to get clients.
Oh,
You
thanks.
just go sign up.
would, it's hard work though, because,
Yeah.
because it's but yeah, no, I get what you mean.
Yeah. I'm coming to your chemist, mate. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you invited.
Yeah,
anyway.
go.
So I use this experience, right? I always say, would you rather be on medication for 30 years, go to therapy for 10 years, sit with a therapist or counsellor, run your story over and over again, and then go out and thinking, what the hell was the point of that? I just paid them that much money, or, oh yeah, what did they do?
Or would you find a solution?
Or would you rather
spend that 30
spend
years
some
happy.
time with someone like me, doing some polarity, right? Asking some questions, and what I call the polarity breakthrough, 1-to-1, and spending an hour or hours, even a couple of days, and then becoming a master of your future or your destiny instead of a victim of your history. There's your 2 choices. You decide.
Yeah. Wow. And obviously
That's-
they choose the latter, obviously.
Yeah. Well,
So anyway, obviously you made that consistent
Yeah.
decision. Before we leave, I've got a very good question, but I think we can talk to Bhavin all
Got
day
great
because he
questions.
keeps jumping off topic and then coming
sorry.
up with
Yeah,
something very
sorry,
interesting.
I'm passionate.
Yeah. No. So obviously you said you went and found help, and you went obviously further into the self-development field and went into Tony Robbins, training and stuff like that. And obviously now, you know, you've got great hold of your life now. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just a matter of knowing.
Yeah.
I think it's the power of knowing, really. That yes, I can do this. And obviously when you're in that situation where people are being given medication to solve what you can do verbally, doesn't that put you in like a bit of a confliction sometimes? Like, you know, isn't it easier to just make them quiet and give them a tablet, or
Yeah.
or
I think this goes down to it's a belief. It goes down to my background. It goes down to, I think, a lot of, I know people, when I ask about beliefs and values, like what you stand for, I always ask myself a question. What do I stand for? Everything that comes out of my mouth, my body language, it has to match. Everything I do has to match. And I have this belief where I do have a problem with, I love the NHS as an idea, and as this is really important, as an idea. The idea is amazing. A mark of a decent society, in my view, is getting healthcare served at the point of need, not based on ability to pay. And that's a beautiful thing. You know, the NHS is amazing. It serves millions and millions of people. 4th biggest employer in the world.
yeah.
But people confuse it with as an idea and as an organization, as the institution that delivers on the promise of free healthcare. Does that sort of make sense? So people conflate and combine those 2 ideas, right? Now, So my thing is the belief that I, through experience, is, and through seeing people on medication day to day on pharmacies coming back on with a new prescription, being on diazepam, sleeping tablets for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, antidepressants for 30 years. No,
Yeah.
like it paralyzes you. They're walking around like zombies.
But what about, okay, that's quite interesting, because so if you're saying the same tablets are given out for like 350 mental illnesses, so would you say self-development is the solution to all these mental illnesses?
I personally,
Because there's some certain mental illnesses such as you will hallucinate. And obviously, studying back from my psychology, is hallucination occurs obviously because of lack of sleep. So isn't a sleeping pill the solution at that time?
yeah, it's very important. This is interesting. I don't want to go on about insomnia, but there's
Because
this thing about
schizophrenia is a mental illness which causes hallucinations, and you talk to people and you're in a completely different world. How would you solve that with self-development?
so.
Would an NHS need to intervene with that?
Oh yes, that's what I'm saying. It's so I want to be really clear, because mental health is such a complex. There's different subcategories, right? There's obviously this serious mental illness of schizophrenia. There is a place, bipolar. Now now bipolar. If we had more time in the research studies done around bipolar and the ups and downs, myself, I go through ups and downs, and I'm not disrespecting the people that are going through these challenges. People do not. It's just there's so much data and research out there that about like in school children, there was studies done in school children, and this brings in ADHD into the pot, right? With normal child behavior, energetic.
What about autism?
Yeah, so this is autism. I will go into autism because I want to go back onto ADHD.
Is quite similar to autism. Well, they've got
in some ways,
yeah. But this is the thing. It's like when my nephew was diagnosed autism.
Yeah.
And when and the funny thing was when the doctor said to the mum, my sister-in-law, oh, he can't be social, he won't be social and stuff like that. We all do that sometimes. So how can you label someone?
Exactly.
Some people are shy. Some people some people like to be around people. But it's like you're just labeling someone because of that. So it's very, very hard sometimes to say. It's like that means, and she said all of us are a bit like that. She goes, yeah, but that's true. She had no answer to come back.
There are extremes.
Yeah.
Polarity. Yeah. There are always extremes.
Yeah.
That's it, and that's fine. But people don't say that.
Yeah.
Like no one says that. No, it's bipolar. Or it's this.
Yeah, it's quite severe, or this and that, or it might just be you just need some sleep,
Yeah.
or you might just need to recollect, or because I know with bipolar, because I've got family members who've had that, and I know a few people, and the pattern is quite. I just feel it's just, I'm not labeling anyone like saying that you said before, but sometimes the pattern is quite amazing that, like you said, we all go through that ourselves as well.
Yeah.
Like you will have some days where you're just really, really frustrated at what's going on, and you'd be really, really angry, things get to you, or even like women, on a monthly basis, we get very, very moody.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we have a bipolar personality. Yeah. It's just your hormones are just playing up, and you just need a bit of clarity. And sometimes, like when we're so stressed out, like, another good question I had was like when you said, okay, having the quick fix of the medication, whatever, in the long term. Like I myself, when I'm stressed out, I'll eat chocolate. That will give me, what's the word? That will give me a bit of relief for that time being. It'll put me in it'll raise my endorphins, you say. But is that a bad side effect? Apart from the calories, but the long term for that, what would you say? Because for me, that's like a pill. When I'm really, really stressed out, I'll just pick a bar of chocolate and
same effect in the brain. Dopamine.
Yeah.
Feel great.
But obviously, I know there's no long term. Unless I'm eating so much, I'll get diabetes, or if I'm addicted to it.
Yeah.
But I just need a chocolate bar and I'm fine.
Yeah.
For the next week.
Same principle, same effect. This goes down to like the monkey mind.
Yeah.
And
Do you think is it because I think that helps me, or it actually does help me?
we make decisions and we build patterns
Okay.
from a younger age, or as I said, we're unconsciously or consciously, even
We
through
attach
seeing
that
adverts,
memory, yes.
and think,
Yeah.
right, oh, that's going to be great when, because you see an advert, right,
Yeah.
with the guy that's stressed out at work, and then he takes a chocolate bar. Like, people think, no, I'm not going to do that, but no, when next time you're at work and when you're stressed, you're going to be having a
Yeah,
chocolate
I was really
bar.
hungry yesterday. I picked up Snickers.
It's everything is wiring.
Yourself, you're Mr. Bean when you're hungry. So I picked.
And
And
the
trust
thing-
me, it helps.
And you know what? This is the thing, Mr. Ra- This is not you. It's not you.
It's what you're being used to.
This is
seeing.
what I want to be
Yeah.
really clear on this.
We need chocolate, not pills, everyone. Yeah.
This is
I'll prescribe you a pack of chocolate, then it'll be called Musart.
Kinder Bueno,
Yeah.
my favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mind
it's,
whisper. Yeah.
that part is the inner monkey, and you know something about the animal monkey mind.
Is this the monkey might be great? I've not been very used to. Is it because of the monkey letting go of the banana or something that they did the test? Is that why the monkey mind has come in? I think so.
So this goes down to, again, whatever belief you have,
Yeah.
right? Again, now
I know there's been tests done of a monkey when he puts the banana in the thing and he's not letting go. And I'm just relating it to that for some reason.
there's that, and there's also the fact that I believe in evolution.
Okay.
Okay, but I also believe in a higher power.
Yeah. The universe.
Right. Yeah, and
Yeah, law of attraction wouldn't work with
and
evolution.
90.
So just so you know, you need the universe. Yeah.
99%.
Yeah.
I think.
You don't believe in evolution anymore now, see? I
I-
confused you there.
Well, that's another discussion, but you know, we're looking
up.
at 99% of, like, if we look at our cousins, apes, grey apes,
Yeah.
and there's been, if you look at all the extensive research
Mm.
and talk about jungle rules and how groups of obviously apes and live together in territory.
Yeah.
And then I apply that to houses.
Okay.
Why we have gardens, why we have houses, fences.
Mm.
And if someone comes over, oh God, why the hell did you do that to my garden?
Mm.
Territory. Look at all the walls in the world, borders,
Yeah.
territory. Rules of the jungle are the same in there's
Human mind, yeah.
in
The human
and,
psyche.
and reacting emotionally or catastrophically, seeing things as black and white, seeing things catastrophically, like worse than they actually are, paranoid thinking why is this thing happening? All those things are, if you really study nature and how groups of our cousins live in the jungle, you'll find that there is a lot of similarities.
Wow, okay.
So there's that. Because I always think, why do I react in that way? Why do I react in a certain way? I didn't want to react like that, but once you understand and you build autopilots,
Yeah. It's about building that.
automatic behaviors and helpful behaviors. So I want to give you an example of the chocolate bar, right?
Yeah.
When I go into Costa and I see a coffee, I see a cupcake, and I'm like, I really want that. I really want that. Now I automatically say, is that helpful? I have questions.
Yeah.
Is it helpful? Is it helpful to my long term? Is that really going to make me feel good right now?
It will.
Now people think long term.
Yeah.
So I have inbuilt questions that I automatically sort of trigger off, but this comes with a lot of training.
Yeah.
And then I go, what's the best choice right now? And so I just go for the healthier option.
Yeah.
So I've trained, a lot of my programs are about, mind management and controlling that inner mind, the inner monkey mind, and allowing your human side to excel, your highest values, your honesty, your compassion, your truth, all those beautiful values of humanity to flourish. So then you can be who you want to be instead of the inner animal controlling you. That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I just hope the viewers understand that.
Yeah,
well,
so,
as it's been wonderful having you. I think we could talk for ages. I think I should have you on again for just talking about pills. I think you're very intelligent, so I'd be very interested.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah, you are. Well, if you did something in 3 years that took 10 years, I'm sure you are. Well, before we leave, I would like you to give some advice to the audience, and also to talk about how people can get more in touch with you and. Yeah, so if you want to let them know, what is the one tip that you would give to people that they can start applying in their life right now that can make vital changes?
Okay. For me, it's got to be, like, if you're right now going, right, and even probably everyone watching this right now is emotions. Let's get down to the truth, right? We're all, human beings are made up of emotions, right? Now, there's nothing wrong, it's okay. Those emotions are giving you messages. Now the key is to find out what message that emotion is giving you, right? Now, finding the first thing, if you're going through any emotion, just ask yourself this simple question, right? Say stop, just stop yourselves and identify, what am I really feeling right now, right? Just stop. And say, identify that feeling. What is it? Disappointment, rejection, hurt, loss. And then ask yourself another thing. What is it telling me? What do I need to do? Okay. I've got a process now within. If you work with me one-to-one, generally is what I go through a process where, like that, any emotion that you have, it will be triggered within you that you can just use, and you can turn that emotion into action and actually take your life to the next level. So I'm talking about taking anger, any emotion, and applying it in your health, finances, relationships, any area of your life, and in your career, anything you want to work on and develop, and taking that to the next level, using those emotions for that good. Because there is no such thing as negative emotions, people. That's my key message. No such thing as negative emotions. There are just messages, and that's it. So if you want to find out more and learn a bit more about what I'm talking about now and polarity and the concepts around the polarity breakthrough, I have a Facebook page. You can find me actually at Anxiety and Depression Coaching. I'm going to be renaming that as Polarity Coaching, so look out for Polarity Coaching.
I don't know for Bhavin Patel.
Or Bhavin Patel, and at Instagram as well at, changed it recently, what was it?
I don't remember.
Bhav, so BHAV Patel, number 1. So that's Bhav Patel number 1, if that makes sense. I'll give it to Musart.
Okay, no problem. We'll put it on.
Excellent. And at Twitter, I'm on Bhavin Patel number 1. And you can message me. I'll also leave my my number. If you want to message me one-to-one, I'm happy to leave my number. And also, this is my personal invitation, because I know I may have gone off topic today, and I do because I'm so passionate. But can I encourage you? Anything you didn't quite get today, and if you are experiencing any challenge, right? Anything resonated with you today in this conversation? I'm having an event. So on the 7th of October in London, I'll share the details with Musart to share with you. What better way to spend your Saturday evening than with me, right? But on a serious note, if you're going through any challenging, any challenges in your life right now, spark the fire within. That's the name of my event. I had a fascination with fire when I was younger. I'll tell you about that at the event, right? So I won't be telling you about that now, but I had a fascination with fire when I was growing up. So let me help you spark your fire within. 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday the 7th of October. Okay, so I hope to see you there. Thank you very much.
Well, as you know, I think Bhavin has lots to talk about, and he's very, very passionate. As he said, don't let your emotions override you. You know, there's always a solution. You know, it's just about acceptance. And, you know, like we had with last week with the same guests, it's all about acceptance and just finding out the solution. Trust me, solutions are there. Until next time on the live show with Musart, thank you for watching.
Bye. Bye-bye.